Time now is 3:13 p.m. Speaking to Media 5 on the record.
Hello again. Part of your analysis of whether a grant was related to DEI was whether or not it referenced racial minorities. Is that fair to say?
Part of it.
Okay. How did you ascertain what a racial minority was?
Whether it was focused on any specific race in any capacity.
Right, so sorry.
Racial minority is
Right.
probably where we're missing.
Okay, yeah.
Having to do with race and diversity of race, minority or not, is related to diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Okay. But doesn't everyone, to some degree, have a race?
Yes.
Okay. So you were canceling grants based on whether they had to do with... Strike that. I guess, how did you make the distinction between whether a grant should be terminated based on the fact that it involves a minority or not?
It would be based on the grant description for each grant.
Okay. But this kind of system that you were using to analyze that, walk me through it.
Objection.
Read through the grant, identify keywords that may relate to DEI, and give context as to why this may relate to DEI so that Adam and Mike can review our perspective.
Right. So if a grant said, for instance, a history of Michael Jordan versus a history of black former NBA player Michael Jordan, would that make a difference in the way that you analyze the grant?
Objection.
That would depend on the grant and the full context of the description.
Sure. Would the word black by itself have, in the system you were applying in your DEI review, have led you to mark that grant as being of DEI?
Objection.
Being DEI.
Objection. Sorry.
It would depend on the grant.
Okay. So sitting here today, you can answer that example, for instance?
Objection.
Well, it would need to be a grant
Sure.
that we were reviewing
Okay.
in the full context.
Yeah. Okay, we'll look at more grants. Let's go to tab 8. This will be exhibit 9. Or excuse me. Sorry, I think I got that wrong. Tab 9, which will be exhibit 9. I think. No, I guess then this should be tab 8. Sorry about that. And this will be, I believe, an Excel sheet, not a PDF. While he pulls it up, I'll have a couple more questions for you. When you say it depends on the grant, is what you're saying that it depends on how you interpreted the grant during your review?
For what? Is the full question there?
Sorry.
What, yeah, could you restate the question?
Yeah,
Just the
sorry,
full-
yeah, I'll give the full context. I believe you testified earlier that it would depend on what the grant says when I asked whether you would say it was DEI or not. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. Did it also depend on how you personally interpreted that grant?
For the rationale, Nate and our view of its relation to DEI, yes.
Okay. Sorry, Jacob, are you able to find that tab 8? Yep, that's the one. Thank you. So this is US-000062485. I'll represent to you that you're the custodian of this document, meaning that it was produced to us from your possession, I presume at your GSA computer. Does this document look familiar to you? And I'm happy to scroll in or ask Jacob to manipulate it any way you need to see it.
Yes, this looks familiar.
Okay. Can you describe what this is?
This is a way to assist contextualizing, summarizing really, relation to DEI,
Okay.
and it was used to inform the rationale piece of the broader grant review.
Okay. Let's go a bit broader than that. So just to fully paint the picture, what's on this spreadsheet?
It pulls out the key phrases and words and context from the description as its relation to DEI,
Okay. The grant description.
the grant description.
Okay. And did you create this document?
Yes.
Okay. Did anyone help you to create this document?
No.
Okay. Can we go to table 5? That's the first tab there on the left side, Jacob. No, if you just go left with your mouse, there are several little tabs. Table 5, invoked function, sheet 1. Yep, there we go. Okay, does this look familiar?
Yes.
Okay. Did you create this sheet?
Yes.
Okay. Can you briefly tell me the context for creating this document?
To look at the grant descriptions, the full grant descriptions, and bring out the context of which a DEI grant may relate, or a grant may relate to DEI.
Okay.
And it was used to inform DEI rationale.
Okay. And cell B1 says GPT response. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. So when you say pull out You mean run the grant description through ChatGPT to pull out a DEI rationale?
To highlight why this grant may relate to DEI, which we used to give context to Adam and Mike on why this grant may be related to DEI.
How did you ensure that GPT would know what did or did not relate to DEI?
Objection.
Well, we read the responses and adjusted based on the EOs.
Okay, so it says, sorry, just to look at one brief example, cell 2A or A2, it starts by saying, from the perspective of someone looking to identify DEI grants, does this involve DEI? Respond factually in less than 120 characters. Begin with yes or no, followed by a brief explanation. Do not use, quote, this initiative, close quote, or, quote, this description, close quote, in your response. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
And that's the command for ChatGPT. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And then after that, you would put the grant description into ChatGPT for ChatGPT to analyze. Is that right?
Again, to inform the rationale for why this may relate to DEI. And that was then used on top of what we understood from the grant description ourselves to be sent to Adam and Mike in a consolidated format.
What's your understanding of how the model understood the word DEI?
I don't know.
Did you do anything to teach the model what DEI meant as you used it in this command?
We didn't need to because we were adjusting and making the call ultimately based on the full description,
Right.
whether this was DEI or not.
Okay.
This was only a tool to assist in contextualizing.
Okay.
It was not the decision-making factor.
Okay. Did you use this tool for every grant that you reviewed?
Not the ones that the NEH team had already deemed relating to DEI.
Okay. But the thousands that you reviewed personally, you used this process?
To help with the contextualizing of it, to Mike and Adam, to pull out the key phrases of which this may relate to DEI, to assist in that step of the process, which is consolidating the points. And we could have gone in and written our own summaries, and that's why this is only a tool and it didn't end up with the final decisions, yes or no.
Do you do anything to ensure that ChatGPT's conception of DEI as applied here wouldn't discriminate on the basis of race?
Objection.
No.
Did you do anything to ensure that ChatGPT's conception of DEI in this task that you gave to ChatGPT would strike that? Do you do anything to ensure that ChatGPT's perception of DEI as applied here wouldn't discriminate on the basis of sex?
Objection.
It didn't matter because, again, this was not the ultimate decision-making factor.
But that doesn't answer my question. Did you do anything to ensure that ChatGPT's perception of DEI as applied here wouldn't discriminate on the basis of sex?
Objection.
I didn't need to. This was not the decision-making factor.
Right. But I'm not asking whether you needed to or not. I'm asking whether you did or not.
Objection.
This is a rephrasing of the previous question. What is it that you're referring to now, like specifically?
Did you do anything to ensure that ChatGPT's perception of DEI as applied here wouldn't discriminate on the basis of sex?
Objection.
It's a yes or no.
This is just to identify phrases that may relate to DEI to assist in our population of giving context to Adam and Mike as they're reviewing. And this was not the ultimate decision-making factor.
Did you do anything to ensure that ChatGPT's perception of DEI as applied here wouldn't discriminate on the basis of sex? I'd like an answer to my question eventually. I'll keep asking it.
It didn't matter.
Objection.
Okay. Did you do anything to ensure that ChatGPT's perception of DEI as applied here wouldn't discriminate on the basis of sex?
Objection. Asked and answered several times.
It didn't matter. We didn't need to.
Is that yes or no?
Objection.
Is what, yes or no?
Did you do anything to ensure that ChatGPT's perception of DEI as applied here wouldn't discriminate on the basis of sex?
Objection.
The task was to pull out anything related to DEI. There was no reason to check for discrimination.
So you didn't do it.
Objection.
We did not need to.
Did you do it or not?
Objection.
This was a medium step in between getting the consolidated list to Adam and Mike for review.
I'm sorry, Justin. We could keep doing this. I'm asking you I'm entitled to an answer to my question as posed. I'm not asking you about Michael McDonald or Adam Wolfson. I'm not asking you about how many other iterative steps it took to the terminations. I'm asking this question. Did you do anything to ensure that ChatGPT's perception of DEI as applied here wouldn't discriminate on the basis of sex?
Objection.
There was no need to do that because this was only an intermediary step.
So because there was no need, did you not do it?
Objection.
I'll inform you that it's possible that the finder of fact will watch this and read this transcript.
Uh-huh.
I would suggest being straightforward. Of course, that's your choice.
That is inappropriate. First of all, just because you say the answer is yes or no does not mean that every answer is yes or no. He has given you an answer many, many times. Frankly, I don't think your question even makes sense. You can't keep asking the witness the same question time after time. This is becoming harassing.
Okay. I would just put into the record that counsel's statement there is partially coaching the witness. So again, I'd ask that you keep your objections to former foundation.
It's not coaching the witness.
Thank you. I appreciate that, counsel.
You are proceeding in an inappropriate manner.
I appreciate that, counsel. You're clearly coaching the witness, and if we need to go to the court about this, we will.
Okay, feel free to call the court. I have
Thank
not
you.
done anything remotely inappropriate.
Okay, thank you.
And you are doing something inappropriate.
In your estimation. Thank you. Okay. Hi, Justin. Did you do anything to ensure that ChatGPT that you were using to assess grants for DEI would not discriminate on the basis of sex or religion?
Objection.
We did not need to.
So you're refusing to answer the question?
Objection.
It's a yes or no question.
I'm telling you,
Objection.
we did not need to do this because we're just identifying whether it involves DEI.
Right. And again, I'm not asking you what you needed to do or what you didn't need to do. I'm asking whether or not factually you did something, and you're refusing to give me an answer.
question?
Factually speaking, did you do anything yourself to ensure that the model here would not discriminate on the basis of sex.
Objection.
We did not need to.
Okay. Thank you, Justin. So I'll mark for the record that the witness is refusing to answer this question. And we can move on, I guess.
And I'll note that he has answered the question.
Did you do anything to ensure that ChatGPT's perception of DEI as applied wouldn't discriminate on the basis of religion?
Objection.
We did not need to do that.
Did you teach this model anything about the meaning of DEI or how it should be applied?
The prompt is from the perspective of someone looking to identify DEI grants. So just extract the key phrases that may relate to DEI. And again, this just informed how we were synthesizing a perspective to share with Mike and Adam, not the ultimate decisions from Mike and Adam.
Did you use ChatGPT during any other work while at the government?
Sometimes.
For similar projects?
For some, not all.
If someone were to say that you didn't use ChatGPT or LLMs in your analysis of grants while at any age, would that be false?
Objection.
To analyze the grants, we were using just the descriptions in its entirety. That's what informed the giving it back to Adam and Mike, and this is just an intermediary step to synthesize the key phrases that may relate to DEI. Ultimate decisions, no.
No, but I'm sorry. If someone were to say that you didn't use ChatGPT in your work related to any age, would that be false?
Objection.
Could you just rephrase, because I think double negative threw me off there.
If someone made the representation that you did not use ChatGPT in relation to your work at any age, would that be false?
Objection.
It would depend on the context.
You did use ChatGPT in relation to your work at any age, right?
Here, for the intermediary step, yes.
Okay. And if someone implied that you didn't do this, that would be false, right?
Objection.
Didn't do this for what?
Didn't use ChatGPT in the way that you did on this screen?
In any capacity.
Yes.
It was used to assist Mike and Adam's understanding of where we were coming from as grants related to DEI.
That doesn't even come close to answering my question. If someone said that you didn't use ChatGPT in relation to your work with any age, would that be a falsity or a truth?
Objection.
It would depend on the context.
Okay. What context would it be true?
Whether it's making decisions on granting terminations or not, or intermediary steps.
Any. At all.
Objection to form.
Any at all, full question.
If someone said that you didn't use ChatGPT in relation to your work at any age, in any capacity, would that be false?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, Jacob, could you go to sheet 2? I think it's the 4th tab. Do you recognize this tab, Justin?
As separate and distinct from the other tabs, no.
Okay. So this tab has, I think, 2 columns. And, you know, I can read an example of what's in column 1. There's a command for each one of these entries on the page that says, does the following relate at all to DEI? Respond factually in less than 120 characters. Begin with yes or no, followed by a brief explanation. Do not use this initiative or this description in your response. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. And in cell A3, if you could zoom up a bit, Jacob. Or scroll up, sorry. So if we could look at A3, could you zoom in too? That's kind of small for me to see. You know. Okay. So cell 3 says, Jacob, could you actually go to the line between 2 and 3 and pull it down so you can see the full text? There's like, yeah, if you could go over. There's a line, yeah. So I want to make that one bigger. Actually, I think that's the right size. No, that's the right size. Okay. So this here says, this is cell A3 again. It says, does the following relate at all to DEI? Respond factually in less than 120 characters. Begin with yes or no, followed by a brief explanation. Do not use this initiative or this description in your response. The documentary tells the story of the Colfax Massacre, the single greatest incident of anti-black violence during Reconstruction, and its historical and legacy for black civil rights in Louisiana, the South, and in the nation as a whole. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. And then in column B, right next to that, it says, yes. The documentary explores a historical event that significantly impacted black civil rights, making it relevant to the topic of DEI. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
Is it fair to say that that's what I just read is the ChatGPT output of the prompt in the first column?
Yes.
Okay. Do you agree with ChatGPT's assessment here that a documentary is DEI if it explores historical events that significantly impacted black civil rights?
Yes.
Okay. Why would that be DEI?
It's focused on a singular race.
What
It is not for the benefit. It is not for the benefit of humankind. It is focused on a specific group of, or a specific race. Here being black.
Why would learning about anti-black violence not be to the benefit of humankind?
Objection.
That's not what I'm saying.
Okay, then what are you saying?
I'm saying it relates to diversity, equity, and inclusion.
You said it's not to the benefit of humankind, right?
Is that what I said?
Yeah. Could you read back the witness's response about benefits to humankind?
Question, why would that be DEI? Answer, it's focusing on a singular race. It is not for the benefit of humankind. It is focused on a specific group or a specific race, here being black.
So what do you mean by not for the benefit of humankind?
That's a very subjective. The way that I phrased it there wasn't exactly what I meant. It is focused on a specific subset of race, and therefore it relates to DEI.
Okay.
I'm not
So-
suggesting that this is not for the betterment of humankind. That was a misphrasing.
Okay, so is it your understanding that the actual massacre was an event of anti-black violence?
Objection.
What do you mean?
Like, I guess I'm trying to distinguish between the facts of the massacre itself, the historical event, versus how it's written here. There was, at least in the description here, a massacre that seems to have been in some ways anti-black or against black people. Is that your understanding of it by reading this?
Could you zoom in? Okay, what was the question?
Is it your understanding that the historical event itself, the Colfax massacre, was an event that featured anti-black violence?
What do you mean by featured?
That there was anti-black violence exercised during the Colfax massacre?
Yes.
Okay. And so you're not disputing whether this was a real event, are you?
No.
Okay. So if anti-black violence was a real feature of a real historical event, what about this project is DEI?
Because it focuses on exclusively anti-black violence, which is a race.
So because the massacrists at the Colfax massacre decided to kill only black people, there should be no, this project should be marked for DEI and put on a potential list for termination.
Objection.
The same as it would be an anti-white violence during Reconstruction, as it's a race that you're isolating, and it relates to diversity, equity, and inclusion.
So in the exercise of your role with DOGE and looking at these grants, any historical event that would have been featuring one particular race would be marked for DEI in your view? Is that fair to say?
It would depend on the grant.
Okay. But that was one factor that you analyzed, whether the event itself had to do with a specific race or gender.
To identify if it related or could have related at all to DEI and the EOs.
Okay. Jacob, can you pull up tab 10? Sorry, tab 10.
Yes, is this exhibit 10?
Yeah, I think so. Okay, so this is document NEH_AR_000024. Do you recognize this document?
Was there an email associated with this being sent?
There was. Let me... Yeah. Actually, just because of how the logistics are set up here, I'll skip over this. We haven't really gotten to it yet. We'll come back to it though. So this was Exhibit 10. I'll now go to tab 11, Jacob. This will be Exhibit 11. This is going to be an email, but not the email that you just asked for. Just FYI, just a different email. Just don't want to confuse anyone. Okay. Okay, this is Exhibit 11, Bates number US-0000016153. Very short. It's from Justin Fox at gsa.gov to jfox at neh.gov. Subject crazy grants. Did I read that all correctly?
Yes.
Okay. So this is an email from your GSA email to your NEH email. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. And you had emails at both?
Yes.
Why? Do you remember why you sent this email to yourself?
April 3rd. No, I don't.
Did you typically send emails between your NEH and your GSA accounts?
Not often, from what I remember.
In what circumstance might you have done that?
Work done on my GSA that needed to go and be continued to work on from my NEH laptop.
Okay. Do you think that might have been what was happening here?
Maybe.
Okay. Any other reasons you could think of?
For this single email, I don't know.
Okay, we can move on to, well, before we do that. It says crazy grants. Do you see that?
Yes.
Did you write that?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what that means?
I don't remember.
You don't remember what crazy grants means?
I don't remember what it meant in the context of this attachment.
Okay, well, we can open the attachment. This is tab 12, Jacob, Exhibit 12. It's going to be Bates numbers US-0000016154. So this is the document that you sent to yourself on April 3rd, 2025 in an email subject crazy grants. Does this look familiar to you?
Yes.
Okay. Is this a document that you created?
That I edited from grants.gov. Yes.
So, but, sorry, several parts there. Did you get this document from grants.gov directly and then kind of work within it?
Yes.
Okay. So no single person sent you this document. Is that fair to say?
This, no.
Okay. So
From what I remember, this, no.
okay. Can you describe what it is?
From what I remember, all outstanding grants for NEH with the obligated in dollars outlaid and the remaining amount, along with, on the right, all of the descriptions about the recipient and the description of the project. I don't remember what else is on the right. If you wouldn't mind scrolling over.
Hey, Jacob, can you scroll to the right quickly for the witness?
Thank you.
Does that comport with your understanding of?
Yeah.
Okay. We can scroll back to the left now, Jacob. Did someone tell you to put this document together?
Not that I remember.
So you did this on your own volition?
Ahead of meeting with Mike and Adam in our first meeting, we were identifying areas to discuss with them about compliance with the EO and to make sure we had discussion points to talk with Adam and Mike about, did our own sort of condensed review of what was publicly available on NEH's grants.
When you say our, who are you referring to?
Nate and myself.
Okay. Was it your idea to do this or Nate's idea to do this?
This was just what we did for meetings that we had coming up, was do a review of the publicly available grants and assess their adherence to the existing EOs.
Okay. So there are several grants in in this document with shorted descriptions under column E that say things like understanding historical LGBTQ spaces through gay travel guides, for instance. That's cell E12. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. I think you actually referenced this project at the very, very beginning of the deposition. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. And you said that, that was obviously DEI or something earlier.
Yes.
Okay. Here you're calling it among the craziest grants. Is that a fair kind of summary of, by looking at this document?
A summary of.
Like, is that what the placement of that grant in this section means, that you consider it to be one of the craziest grants?
From the lens of adherence to the EOs, crazy is one way of saying it. Most incriminating is another way. The most blatantly misaligned with the latest EOs, to our understanding. And this is a very preliminary exercise, again, to address the initial meeting with Mike and Adam.
Right. But you sent it to yourself on April 2nd.
Yeah.
And your initial meeting with Mike and Adam Wolfson, I think, was much earlier, on March 12th.
Yeah, this document should be saved exactly around the time that we'd met with Adam and Mike. I don't remember why I'd sent it from my GSA to my NEH at that time, but I know that this document was formed immediately or right before we had that first interaction with Mike and Adam.
So, why do you label these the craziest grants?
They're the most obviously infringing on the EOs to identify and eliminate wasteful spend or DEI related projects.
Yeah. You say most obviously based on your point of view. Is that fair to say?
Our interpretation of the EOs.
You and Nate's interpretation of the EOs.
Yes.
Okay. And that's how you assessed what grants were crazy and what grants weren't crazy. Is that fair?
That's how we assessed whether or not a grant would be most infringing or not on the EOs.
Your subjective interpretation.
Yes.
Okay. So let's look at some of these. In row 12, cell C, or excuse me, cell E, we already read it. It says understanding historical LGBTQ spaces through gay travel guides. In row 11, cell E, it says improving access to LGBTQ plus cultural heritage. In row 11, cell D, it says developing a Spanish language homosaurus. If we scroll down a bit, Jacob, we'll see in row 32. In row 32, it says, quote, digital stories of transgender adults in the Pacific Northwest. In row 16, if we scroll up a bit, it says, examining the relationship between the internet and the LGBTQ communities. Did I generally read all of those correctly?
Yes.
Okay. So, why, for instance, is, to your view, improving access to LGBTQ plus cultural heritage DEI?
Which one was that?
Row 11.
Could I see the full description?
Yeah, can you scroll over, Jacob, to
Column F.
yeah.
I believe it's truncated here.
If you could click on that cell. Which one is this? 11. F11.
I still can't read all of it. If you press the down button on in the bar, or make the row bigger.
Yeah, if you drag down, if you go to 11, right below 11, where the 11 turns into 12, and click on that line and drag it downwards, it should expand. Yep, just like that. There you go.
Great.
Keep going until all the text is visible. Jacob, thank you. Oh, wow, it's a long one.
And then if you could zoom in just as well. This is the Homosaurus one.
Yeah, I think so, I guess. Yeah, yeah. But I guess you could do the same assessment here.
So this is funding to create a Spanish version of LGBTQ plus vocabulary.
Okay. And it looks like in the next column over, or strike that, and that's what makes it DEI. Is that what you're saying?
It's spend to create vocabulary for just LGBTQ words for the benefit of the LGBTQ community or Q plus community.
Okay.
In
And
Spanish.
and it was your understanding that grants like this should not continue based on that DEI principle?
That they were related to DEI, yes.
Okay. And in the next column it says LGBTQ, comma, queer. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. And then above that it says indigenous, and G10. Below that it says LGBTQ, comma, gay, in cell G11. These look like keywords. Is that right?
Objection.
Yes.
Okay. Did you use keywords to identify certain concepts in grant descriptions in this document?
For this document, again, the preliminary work that we were doing before meeting Adam and Mike was to find grants that were not aligned with the EOs.
Okay. So can we go to the third tab there, Jacob? It says detection list in this same spreadsheet at the bottom. Okay. You could take a second to review that.
Could you zoom in, Jacob?
Do you have an understanding of what this list is?
A list of words or phrases that may relate to diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Okay. So you said that you and Nate were prepared this in preparation for meeting with Mr. McDonald and Mr. Wolfson for the first time? Is that-
Yes.
Okay. So how would you have determined that this would be at all useful to Mr. McDonald and Mr. Wolfson before you even met with them?
Objection.
The EOs made it clear that funding to DEI programs needed to be terminated in the time frame, I think it was 60 days from the time it dropped.
Okay.
And we were there to assist them in any way we could. And part of what we thought would be helpful is to think through the existing base of grants, which of these may infringe with the direction of EOs.
Okay. And you had done that thinking in the lead up to your first meeting with Mr. Wolfson and Mr. Kavanaugh, or excuse me, Mr. Wolfson or Mr. McDonald. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Was this in the context of helping Mr. McDonald and Mr. Wolfson identify grants to terminate?
Not at this point.
So
This was
sorry.
to assess whether they were even aware of some of the grants that they had outstanding and whether they may conflict with EO priorities.
Okay. But this is all under the context of possibly terminating grants. Is that fair to say?
Identifying grants that may relate or conflict with EOs.
Okay. Was there any world in which you were, you saw your goal as being identifying grants that had to do with DEI in order to ensure that you preserve all of those grants through the end of their terms?
Objection.
Could you restate?
Were you flagging these grants in order to save them?
We were flagging them because they may conflict with the EOs.
Okay. And what would happen to grants that conflict with the EOs?
The heads of agencies would need to assess if they were in line with the executive orders.
How did you come up with this list?
I don't remember.
Okay. It's got LGBTQ on it, homosexual, tribal, immigrant. So it was your assessment that immigrant would have been contrary to the EOs?
It depends on the grant.
Okay. But you put it on this list because at some point you thought that a word like immigrant might conflict with the EOs?
It may, but it all depends on the grant.
Yeah. But is that why you put this word on the list, though?
It could indicate DEI. It's not hamburger. It's something that may relate to cultural appropriation and DEI related grants.
Okay. You also put the word refugees, that's C25. Is there something about refugees that invokes DEI principles?
Maybe. It depends on the grant.
Okay. Yeah. But you were using this list to flag grants for potential DEI. Is that fair to say?
Or wasteful spend.
Right. So would you say that spend on LGBTQ was wasteful?
That would depend entirely on the grant and the specifics of that grant.
Well, you say or wasteful spend, but what about these words would imply wasteful spend?
Well, they may not be a life or death award. For something like food stamps, it's clear you need spend to go to those. They're critical expenditures of the government.
Okay.
Again, all depends on the grant itself.
Okay. And you put on here homosexual. I don't see heterosexual, though. You can confirm or deny.
Could you scroll down? very well could have put heterosexual, but it is not in this list.
It's not on this list.
Don't know why I didn't put heterosexual, but it is not on this list.
Okay. Do you see white on this list?
I see privilege.
Do you see white on this list?
Could you scroll back up? No.
Okay. What about Caucasian? Was that on the list?
No.
Okay. So you can see that there's gay, LGBTQ plus, homosexual on this list, right?
Yes.
Okay, but there's no heterosexual on this list, right?
Very well could have put heterosexual, although this list does not capture everything that is DEI. Again, this was a preliminary search.
Got it. And we can see that it says Black, Indigenous, people of color on this list, right?
Yes.
It doesn't say white or Caucasian on this list, does it?
It very well could have. Again, this is an early, before we had our meetings, and it all depends on the grant itself.
Did you ever correct that by putting white or Caucasian on any lists that you used to screen for DEI?
I didn't need to, because we read the grants themselves.
So you were using ChatGPT to screen grants using keywords. And that screening didn't have white, heterosexual, Caucasian on it. Is that fair?
Objection.
This list was not used in the context of deciding which grants to keep or not. This list was preemptive and not the source of truth. So this is from a publicly available site called grants.gov. Grants.gov is where you can download any grant, but it's not up to date. And it doesn't give you the best information in terms of description. So what we did after we met and talked with Mike and Adam is, can we get details from EGMS and have the full list that you guys have, which is the latest up to date, so that we can properly assess alongside you.
Okay, got it.
So this got thrown out, frankly, after the first meeting when Adam had sent me the file that you showed me, which is, here's our active grants.
Okay. So this list was not used
No,
in determining which grants to keep or not?
no.
Okay. But a future list that you created was used in that way,
In what way?
in determining which grants to keep or not?
In determining which grants related or may have related to DEI or not, yes.
Okay. For the purposes of keeping or not keeping those grants at the agency?
For the purposes of identifying if this may conflict with DEI.
Okay. Number 49 says melting pot. Why would that be DEI?
I guess it's melting pot, I assume, of cultures is the way that the context could be used.
Okay.
So it's promoting an inclusion atmosphere or something that's DEI related. Again, did not use this as a source of truth.
Right.
This was the initial publicly available research for a jumping off point to talk with Mike and Adam.
Right. But you did put this together, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't remember where.
And this does reflect your understanding of what the EOs would have conflicted with, right?
Not necessarily. This was the initial take of which grants may be conflicting but not necessarily prescriptive as to here's the only 55 terms that we would use to assess whether or not a grant is related to DEI or wasteful for that matter.
Sure.
Preliminary list, this got thrown out.
Sure, yeah. But would you agree at least that this list captures at least a moment of your perception of what the EOs were calling for in analyzing grants?
This list helped us identify which grants we needed to read, but not make the ultimate yay or nay decision on whether we keep this grant or not.
Okay. But this is subjective, right?
What is?
The terms that you picked. Why you picked one term versus another term, this was a subjective call by you and Mr. Kavanaugh, right?
Yes.
Okay. And the DEI rationales that we saw in previous spreadsheets, those are also subjective calls about how DEI and the EOs would apply to certain grant descriptions, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let's go off the record for a few minutes. Council, I think he's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Times 4:21 p.m. concludes media 5 off the record.
Okay, thanks.